Have you ever looked up the chords to a song online and you check multiple places, but none of it seems quite right? Recently, I was looking up Welcome to the Black Parade for reasons, and everywhere I looked, it had these chords. When I was a young boy, my father took me into the city to see a marching band. And that's nice, it seems pretty close, but it doesn't seem quite right. It seems to be missing some of the emotional weight and nuance that I think the song has, at least in my memory. Now, is it possible that this phenomenon is psychological and I've built up the emotional weight of the song in my head? Yes, but I wanted to find out for sure. So join me as I take you through the steps I took to discover what was actually in the song, what the chords actually are, and spoiler alert, those chords I just played, the ones that everywhere you look online it says those are the chords, not quite right. Alright, so let's start here. We are in the key of G major, and I'm gonna need you to be familiar with the concept of scale degrees, which is where you take your tonal center, in this case G, and you call each note of that scale a number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. And if you're a singer, this will make a lot of sense to you when I say that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1 is do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And chords are just made up of a group of those notes, right? That means we can use the notes present in the parts of the song to parse out what the chords actually are. And a chord built off of the first scale degree is a 1 chord. A chord built off of the second scale degree is a 2 chord. A chord built off of the fourth scale degree is a 4 chord, etc. So a 1 chord is made up of scale degrees 1, 3, and 5. And an inversion is when you have the same 3 notes, 1, 3, 5, but a different one other than 1 is in the bottom. So if you take that and put it up, now we have 3, 5, 1. It's the same 3 notes, so it's the same chord, but now the 3 is in the bottom, so that would be a first inversion. Do that again, now you have 5, 1, 3, same 3 notes, same chord, different note in the bottom, second inversion. So on the 2 chord, we have 2, 4, 6, root position. Take that up and go 4, 6, 2, same notes, same chord, different note in the bottom, first inversion. Does that make sense? Hey, if you need more information on inversions, go check out this video of mine. Anyway, returning to the chords in question of Welcome to the Black Parade. Everywhere you look online, it has those chords, which are a 1, 5 first inversion, 6, 5, 4, 1 first inversion, 2, 5. So how are we going to go about confirming whether or not those are correct or not? Well, we're going to hop in and look at the notes that are actually present. We start with the legendary, iconic piano motif. We can reasonably assume that all of the notes on the downbeats of this motif are the bass notes of the chord progression, which is actually a really cool device called a lament bass. Go check out this video for all more information on that. And looking just at those bass notes and following the conventions of a lament bass, the chords that our Internet Archive give us are a reasonable extrapolation of what the chords would be. But that's looking just at the bass line. What about the other notes present? You know, like this one, this one, this one. Let's start by identifying what scale degrees would be present in the chords given to us by the internet. We start on a 1 chord, and we know it's a 1 chord because it's a chord built off of the first scale degree. So it has scale degrees 1, 3, and 5. Then we go to a 5 in first inversion. We know it's in first inversion because the scale degrees are 7, 2, and 5. And if you stacked those in order in thirds, you would get 5, 7, 2. So it's a 5 chord, but the 7 is in the bass, which makes it a first inversion. Moving on. now let's compare that to the scale degrees present in the main piano motif. 1, 7, 3, 6, 5, 1, 4, 3, 6, 2, 5. So you see, there's a bunch of stuff here right in the first notes of the song that don't quite fit with what the internet says the chords are. So let's hop back in and see what kind of other extrapolations and interpolations we can make that would be more accurate based off of what notes are actually present. The one chord is good, but we already have a discrepancy here when we get to the 5 first inversion. We have the 3rd scale degree here. It would make more sense to make this a 3 chord in 2nd inversion. The 6 chord is good, but then we reach another discrepancy when we get to the 5 chord. We have a 1st scale degree here in the motif, which is probably implying this is not a 5 chord, but rather a 1 chord in 2nd inversion. Then the 4 chord is good. Another discrepancy follows with the 1 in 1st inversion. We have a 6th scale degree, which is probably implying this to be a 6 chord in 2nd inversion. And then finishing it out, the 2 chord followed by the 5 are both looking a-okay. So let's compare one after another. Take a listen and see, just based on the chords, which of these chord progressions sounds more like the song and maybe has a little bit more of the emotional weight and nuance that the song holds. I don't know about you, but I think the second example, the one built actually off of the notes in the piano motif, just has so much more melancholy and longing to it, which makes perfect sense considering the meaning and the story of the song. But we can't stop there. We have other musical information to look at. Let's take a look at the melody, the vocals. So I'll be singing this in solfege, which, as a reminder, in your scale degrees 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, that corresponds to do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. There's lots of reasons why singing with solfege is preferable to singing with scale degrees, but that's for another day, maybe another video. For now, just trust me. Sol, do, ti, sol, ti, do, sol, ti, do, ti, la, sol, la, fa, ti, do, ti, la, sol, fa. So, once again, like with the motif, we have identified multiple discrepancies between the notes in the melody and the harmony. Oh, but Matty, Greg, aren't those passing tones and shouldn't actually be considered as part of the harmony? I think that this is a perspective rooted in institutional education. Just looking at sheet music and classical music and stuff like this. The truth is, chords are made across all of the instruments within a piece. And if a note is sticking around long enough in any given place, your ear will hear it as part of the harmony. It is an integral part of the flavor and color of the piece. And to gatekeep that information and the actual harmonic material present in the piece behind, sheet music literacy or the ability to just hear things by ear and transcribe by ear, that is an elitist perspective, if you ask me. And I say, no, it is part of the harmony. And of course, you can use your best judgment contextually to say, this one actually is a passing tone and I don't hear it as part of the harmony, versus other parts where you say, hey, actually, that note to me sounds like it's actually part of the chord. And I think others, even non-musicians, listening to the differences of these chords we're exploring in today's video would agree they are an integral part of the harmonic material, an integral part of the song. And if you want to fight about it, well, then you can go to the comment section of this video. Moving on. The one chord is looking good. And then this 7th scale degree, the T, happens just like a 16th note before we change, so we can reasonably attribute that to the 3 chord that follows. And the same is true of the 7 going up to the 1 right before the 6 chord. But then we land here on the 5th scale degree, and we stay there for a bit, which makes me want to call this a 6 minor 7 chord. And then when we get to the 1 chord in second inversion, we have a bunch of tones to look at here. Luckily, when we make our way to the 4, everything is all good. So going back to the 1 second inversion, this is one of those moments where I'm going to use my best judgment to say that I think this 7 is influencing the harmony more than the 6 here. The 7 feels like part of the harmony, and the 6 feels just like a passing tone to me. For multiple reasons, one of which being that we hit it twice in quick succession and stay on it. It feels like it has an amount of weight to it, right? Secondly, using my ear, I believe that adding a 7 to this harmony, making it a 1 major 7 in second inversion, sounds more accurate to the song than adding a 6 to the harmony, making it a 1 add 6 in second inversion. Nope, I think this is better. And then we move to the 4, which is all good. Then when we get to the 6 in second inversion, looking at the way that the 7 is comfortably between 2 notes that are present in our chord, I'm inclined to call that a passing tone. Plus, I don't think adding it to the harmony makes it sound more akin to the song. And then, when we land here on the 2 chord, everything feels good, and then there's no vocals to end us on the 5. So now it sounds like this. Getting pretty close, I'd say. Nice. Now let's compare and contrast with the vocals again to see how the emotional weight of the song changes with these new chords that we have determined and analyzed. When I was a young boy, my father took me into the city to see a marching band. When I was a young boy, my father took me into the city to see a marching band. Night and day, I think. These are the nuances in our favorite songs that really make the difference and make them special to us. The heart of the songs is in these subtle nuances. Or maybe they're not so subtle. I mean, these are pretty large harmonic changes to what we were finding online. So for several verses, this is exactly the chords that we are hearing. That's what's present. But then even more information comes in. Now we get the snare march coming in with this awesome guitar line, thanks to Frank and Ray. Do, re, mi, la, mi, re, sol, mi, fa, mi, do, re. I mean, this is just a perfectly composed counter melody to the vocal melody. Notice how both the piano line and the vocal melody kind of are moving in a downwards direction, while this counter melody is moving in an upwards direction. That's some really awesome contrary motion. Hey, for more information on voice leading and motion within a piece, go check out this video of mine. The other cool thing about this counter melody is it kind of jumps out and becomes more active just when the vocal melody is dipping down and becoming less active. They're trading. It's great. Maybe I should make a counter melody 101 video using some MCR as an example. What do you guys think? Would you be interested in that? Anyway, let's take a look at how that new guitar counter melody changes the harmony. Everything is all good on the 1 chord, and then we hit this fat second scale degree on our 3 second inversion, which changes this to a 5 add 6 in first inversion. Things are lining up nicely on the 6 and the 1 major 7 second inversion. But then when we get to our 4 chord, the guitar counter melody is playing scale degrees 2, 5, neither of which are in this chord. So putting it all together, we're not really hearing just a 4 chord, we're really hearing a 4, 6, 9 chord. That's just lovely. Anyway, this 3rd scale degree can be interpreted as an anticipation of the 6 second inversion chord. Therefore, I don't think it really changes the harmony. After that, when we hit our 2 chord, we have scale degrees 4, 3, 1, The 3 and 1 are outside of our chord. Then they could be seen as passing notes encircling our target note of the 2nd scale degree, getting us to the 5 chord where we're all good. Or they could be seen as changing the harmony, so you don't hear it just as a regular 2. You might be hearing it as a 2 minor 9, which does resolve very nicely to our 5 chord. You could also just play it as a regular 2-7, which moves nicely to our 5 chord. I actually enjoy the simplicity of reducing down from the 4-6-9 to the 6 minor 7 in 2nd inversion to a regular 2 chord 5. I like the way that simplifies down. I think it reflects the emotional content of the piece. Okay, well, we've come a pretty far cry from those original internet chords, right? I mean, these extrapolated, like basic lament bass chords kind of sound like cheesy and classical, right? Whereas these new ones have such nuance to them, right? This one's probably my favorite. Oh, that 6-9 is so good. A 4-6-9. Wow, so good. And then the way it kind of backs off and gets simpler at the end here. We're turning to just a 2-5. It's almost like the calm before the storm, like the moment of quiet reflection you have before returning to the large, like, grand nuance of these chords, right? For me, it represents this concept that even though these are big, grand feelings, grand chords, massively poignant experiences we're having, at the end of the day, they're very intimate and personal to us, just our memories, you know? And I love that they grow. I love that when it's just the piano motif, these certain chords are implied, but then when the vocals come in, it adds to it. And then when everything else comes in, it grows and blossoms and blooms into this even larger affair. It really does feel like it's representative of what it's like to reach for and reflect on the memories and experiences you've had, right? Like, it starts as, well, I remember this thing, and then you start to explore it in your mind and remember and realize and feel how deeply poignant and personal and formative these experiences are, you know? That childhood, that nostalgia when your father took you to the city. It's, at first you just think, oh, what a nice memory, and then you start to realize how deeply it affects you. These chords are just the perfect representation. It's such a lovely way to handle the telling of the story through song. And it might also explain why it feels like it holds such emotional weight and depth to us, the listener. So yeah, it turns out it wasn't psychological. It wasn't in your head. Those original chords we found on the internet, they were not right. They weren't quite there. They did not accurately hold or represent the emotional weight of the song. Let's listen again to the difference between where we started and where we ended up after much analysis. When I was a young boy, my father took me into the city to see a marching band. Versus, when I was a young boy, my father took me into the city to see a marching band. The difference is night and day, if you ask me. And now we know the true chords of the Black Parade. So, bringing it all the way back to the beginning. If I was going to play this on acoustic guitar, I would play it like this. When I was a young boy, my father took me into the city to see a marching band. So there you go. Thank you so much for watching and for sticking with me. I hope you learned something. Please let me know what you thought down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. It really helps the channel grow so I can just make more content like this. And if you like MCR and live music, put July 15th, 2023 on your calendar. My band has been doing a series where we play beloved albums front to back live in New York City, and on July 15th we are doing The Black Parade by My Chemical Romance. We're gonna try to get a free live stream up as well, so be on the lookout for that, and I hope to see some of you there. Otherwise, if you'd like to support me further, you can check out my Patreon. You can sign up to take private lessons with me. And again, thank you so much for watching. My name is Matty Gregg, and I hope you learned something today that you can take with you and use in your own music.